makes most women start a business? Is it passion, money, or freedom? Welcome to Female Founders, the podcast that takes you behind the scene with women who are founders and CEOs to help you start and scale a successful business of your own. I am your host, Nagelia de Ravin.
Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Female Founders. In today's episode, I have the pleasure of speaking with Kinga Vajda. Kinga, the founder of Execute Your Intentions LLC, is a visionary coach and entrepreneur. She excels in empowering individuals and teams to achieve their goals. Her unique approach blends strategy and clarity, inspiring transformative change and personal growth. Hi, Kinga. Thank you so much for giving me that chance to talk to you today. And growing up environment with your parents, how did your unique cultural and family background shape your worldview and professional and inspiration?
Oh, wow. Yes. So my parents were both born in Hungary, and it was just such a unique way to grow up in a very, very liberal state of Vermont. And I felt like I grew up surrounded by people that looked like me, but I felt very different. And so I was always really interested in finding people around me that possibly felt different as well. And so I grew up thinking, well, I know that I look like everyone else, but I know that when you don't feel like everybody else, it's a little bit isolating. And it taught me empathy, and it taught me seeking value and being curious around, is anybody else feeling the same way? And I really wanted to connect with others. And so I naturally just had this interest in finding anybody that could possibly be feeling the same way that I was. And so, I just really was passionate as a child, seeking that connection. And so I developed friendships throughout childhood, and then throughout my entire life. I really feel like that was became my passion and purpose, was creating inclusive environments where we sought diversity. I saw so much value in finding out what made people tick and what value they wanted to bring to the table. So that's how I became passionate about that.
But did you find it any difficult connecting with others from different backgrounds?
I didn't find it difficult to connect with them. I found that to be what connected us. For me personally, I found it to be because I felt different, because I felt like that's what made me uncomfortable in a lot of situations. It made me actually feel connected to somebody else, because it was that discomfort that I was feeling so often, that I could see that others might also feel discomfort. And so I personally felt that maybe if I could find others that felt that discomfort, that I would be able to connect with them. And it was seeking that empathy and knowing that there was some value that they probably were suppressing, as I felt like I had to suppress myself because I didn't want to be found out for being different. That I felt like that's actually what connected me to others.
But also you are excel in math, and you chose to study industrial engineering at Georgia Tech. So what drew you to this field initially, and how did your career path switch toward software and program management?
Yeah. So my father was an electrical engineer. And growing up, so I was heavily influenced by him. I really wanted him, as most kids do, they seek their parents' approval. I really had no idea what that meant. As a matter of fact, I remember him coming home from work with his suit on. He worked at IBM. He ended up retiring from there, even had a pension, and very loyal to IBM. And I remember thinking, why does Dad come home and not have like a handkerchief? Because I thought that engineers were like on a train. And why doesn't he ever talk about the train? and I knew, he took me to IBM, and just kids' brains. But and what does that have to do with math? But he was always very proud of me for being good at math, and I just had this natural skill. And so I just thought, well, this is what I was meant to do. So I had this logic brain, and yet this internal yearning to connect with people. And I struggled with, what am I supposed to do? And yet, where is my passion at? And so when I graduated from Georgia Tech, I thought, well, I don't really want to actually do industrial engineering. I don't even really know what this means. And I'm not sure that this is, do I want to go into a manufacturing field? And, when you're in college, at least when I grew up, that there wasn't much explanation of how the world, how it translates into, your career. And so I entered the world of software development, and I saw how some teams were just kind of dysfunctional in the way that they were behaving, and people weren't really rallying around their goals. And I still had this sense of logic where I saw that, we have to get organized. And I had this this way that I like to use my logic skills and my organizational skills and breaking down problems, and taking that, but still using my ability to empathize with, that we all add and contribute towards these common goals. And so that's how I got into program management, was really taking a look at, it's still a group of people that are trying to solve a problem together. And that's where I developed my passion for program management.
So you also mentioned experiencing difficulties and resistance in your professional journey. How did you navigate this challenge, and what lessons did you learn about resilience and personal growth?
Yeah. Oh gosh. So the question is really, how did I navigate that? Well, it was difficult for me. And I think for a lot of people it is. And, we can take a look at it from, I was in a male dominated field. I was in the technology space, most of my career. And I don't think I gave enough recognition to myself looking back, in that, one, I was, not only was I a woman in the technology space, but I also had a very different communication style. And that had to do with my cultural background, I think, and the way that I was raised. I was taught to be very direct, and to, have my value system, and to own that at a very, kind of black and white level, which was, I believe in being honest, and I believe that, that kind of to no avail, that I, lead with, I just have to tell you the truth because it's the right thing to do. And that's how we move forward, and that we are going to be better together. And sometimes that was shocking to people. And yet I wasn't holding a grudge. It was truly to move things forward. And that was oftentimes causing adversity. And yet my intention was never to cause adversity. It was to move forward. It was to move past problems. And I think, I believe that that's true still today. I just didn't have the wherewithal and the ability to see how that might be really offensive. And sometimes I still worry that I don't necessarily see that, because in my heart, I just knew, well, my intention is for us to get past this so that we can move forward together. And when your intention and your passion is so strong, I think that oftentimes people do cause adversity. And so I was facing that challenge a lot. But because my intention and my passion was so strong, I was always able to get results as well. And truly my passion was always for my teams, and for the people to be successful. And so I would see things very clearly. I would see, how we could get forward, how we could move forward, how we could get the results that we were after, and help guide people there. So I was able to move forward in my career. I was able to lead people there and get the results for everybody. So I just pushed forward. And that's how I was able to continue.
But regardless of all the challenges, you just, I guess with your belief that you just need to keep moving forward, because not everyone will be like you.
That's right. That's right. I recognized that I couldn't stop. I couldn't stop being who I was, because that was important to me. And that was also part of my upbringing.
Yes.
Both of my parents were raised in so much adversity coming from the my father, coming from the Hungarian Revolution, and my mom had her own adversity. And I think that when you have parents that have really come from a lot, and that was a big part of what we talked about at home, and seeing it, just on a daily basis, I guess, and just being really ingrained in our family, that I knew that no matter whatever was really important to me in my heart, and what I felt like was my passion and purpose, I had to just keep living that and honor who I was. And I just didn't see a different way. And I guess, even today we hear all these leaders that are like, what is your why? And that's kind of the new thing that we're talking about and learning, from Simon Sinek and other great leaders. And I've always been like, yeah, that's just who I am. I don't know how not to be.
And I think that's the reason why you are who you are today. You didn't change. And I think like a lot of us, when we get to certain situation like that, we try to change who we are to belong, to feel like we belong to something. But in reality, you don't really need to change who you are. You just need to, I guess, allow people to accept you for who you are, and the people who cannot, and that's okay too. That's fine, because not everyone gonna love you anyway. Not the entire universe not supposed to love you, but you're supposed to find that small group that just appreciate and love you for who you are, and that's just gonna have your shoulder no matter what.
And I appreciate you saying that, because I think that is such a hard thing to accept. And I still struggle with that today. And I think that's human nature. I think so many of us feel, and especially if we felt rejection in our lives in the past, which who hasn't, right? It's a basic human need to feel like we want to be accepted and loved and appreciated. And there's been so many times where I've been hurt when I felt like I wasn't, or where I felt like I was really giving all. And a lot of us have a hard time separating our work and our personal. And for me, my work did feel very personal, because I was genuinely trying to help people on something that mattered to me. And so it was difficult for me to separate. And I think that, when you feel rejected, it hurts. And yet we don't have to take it personally, because it's not personal for everybody. And it's not always even rejection. It really isn't. And yet just being able to love ourselves and finding that self-worth, and knowing that we have some cheerleaders out there, and knowing that some people, are behind us, and finding that support group. And I'm so honored to be here today, and just even having you reach out, and at every moment that we have somebody that sees us and values the uniqueness in us. And the more that we learn ourselves to find that value in others, I think, and the more we practice doing that, is we make the world a more beautiful place. As cheesy as that sounds, I am a cheesy person, but
it's not actually, you're right.
I believe it.
But you are right about that, being raised as a Black woman, how would I say that? I was born from a Black woman that give birth to a Black child that will give birth to another Black child. So generation continue, right? Even that family get mixed and things happen, but in reality, we still consider we are Black. And that's something I cannot escape. Anywhere I go, the first thing you see is my skin color. And when I start talking, it got even worse. So yes, I am different. But you know what? That's what's make me so special, being different. I don't want to be like everybody else. I want to be in the crown, look different. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to wear a red dress so people can see me because I don't like that much of attention. But in reality, I don't need to wear that red dress because as soon as I show up in the womb, everyone knows I am in the womb. Yeah. Regardless they like me or not, but they know I'm there. Do you know why? Because I'm different. Look at it the same way with you, and it's okay. So it's not an attention we want for ourselves. It's just for some reason it showed up no matter where we go. Right. But I guess what I'm trying to say is that people like us want to see the world a better place. We look for that. Because we know we suffer a lot, and we know the next generation after us is going to suffer as well. But if we can if we can open doors for them to don't have to suffer all the things that we suffer, it's an impact that we are creating. We might not see it ourselves. We might not live it ourselves, right? But the thing is that we know that the little piece that we created will have an impact in the next generation. And for me, the way I see it, that's all that's matter for me. And I want to keep opening doors for women like me, for other people like me, because we want to change the world. And that's what I find out is the fact that when we are different, we want to see things happening. We want to see more doors are opening for people like that. Because you know what? We're all different. Yeah. Every time I meet someone, they are different in their own way. It's like, but we have one little tiny things in common. All we had to do is take a chance to say, hi, how you doing? And start that conversation. And you will see there is a connection between us. There's something we both like, and there's something we both can fight for together. And that's how I see the world in general, really. And I think that the way you are is beautiful. And what you want to see diversity, we should fight for it. Because you know what? We are all different. Right now, the whole world is mix that black, yellow, pink, they're all getting mixed, So what are we going to do if we don't want diversity? Because I don't know, 20 years from now, there's going to be a lot more mix than anything else. So you're going to find less population of one until you're going to find a population of mix of all of them together. Are you going to hate it all just because you don't want to see them? No, we need to create that diversity for the world. And I love what you're doing, so I support it.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And I mean, everything about it, I feel so strongly about because I think I 100% agree. There's just more and more diversity that we're recognizing, everything from diverse thoughts, the way that we think, the way that, and even me recognizing I was more diverse than I realized because I was taught to suppress that. Society was, not that anybody even realized that we were doing this to each other, but that I was teaching myself to suppress that. And so because I looked like everyone and I was in a homogenous state, I was teaching myself fit in, right? You're supposed to fit in because you look like everybody else. And I wasn't giving myself this allowance that but you're not like everybody else. and I wasn't celebrating myself for it. Instead, I was trying to suppress something that couldn't be suppressed, and we don't want that, because I had something to offer that was different. And instead, when I tried to offer it, it wasn't welcomed. It wasn't, it wasn't recognized as a strength. And so it made me, create adversity. And meanwhile, I had this passion for something great, and I was getting great results, right? And so meanwhile, it's like, wow, if we kind of just changed the narrative there, maybe I didn't have to go through so much pain. And so now I can use that as my leverage to create a better world for future generations, because I do think that when, there's a lot of sayings out there, but through adversity is when we use our storytelling, to start creating better for change. It's pivotal points, and I think that we are at a pivotal point right now. If we're not all seeing it, we should be. We're at a real pivotal point. And so everybody deserves it. Everybody deserves a better future than where we're at right now. I'm in a generation, and we're in such a multi-generation workforce right now. But I, of course, have so much concern for the future generations and the mess that we're kind of in. And I want better for them. And I want to be a part of making it better for them, and feeling like they have support and leaders that want to help them and be there and hear them and hear their concerns, and to reach that hand out, just like I wish that more people had reached their hand out for me. But also, recognizing that we're all about to become very isolated if we don't recognize that all of us are about to feel very isolated. I mean, and here we have this world of AI that's going to give us not only the tools to be empowered, but also potentially make us feel more isolated. Mm-hmm. So there's opportunity, but there's also, these fears. And so this is the time to embrace a new attitude.
Yes.
A new attitude about it.
And one thing also I wanted to say is that I think that you already being different. It's great, by the way. And that's one thing I was taught since I was a child, is being different. There's nothing wrong with it. It's actually the best thing you can be, different. Oh, yeah. But also that you already been helping the next generation, because the moment that you put your foot down and said, no, I'm not changing me. I'm being me, and I'm staying me. Yeah. That moment you make that decision, you already did it for the next generation, because somebody else is watching you. Because sometimes we don't pay attention. We don't think other people are watching us. And sometimes too, other people don't say anything because they are scared, but that doesn't mean they didn't see it. And in the future, they're not going to make that change as well. So you already been helping. You just didn't realize it. So what inspired you to transition from a corporate career to entrepreneurship? And how did your experiences influence the creation of Execute Your Intentions LLC?
Oh, honestly, I'm going to get into my cheesy mode, but it's what I believe. And so I have to go there. So as an agile coach, I had the benefit of coaching teams, but not actually being inside the team. So what I would do is I would coach teams, and of course, they were kind of groups of people that were thrown together, but they were diverse teams. Although oftentimes they're male dominated, so there was some lack of diversity, but still, I think that when you seek the value in people, there is diversity, right? Because like we said, we all have our own unique story. And so what I would do is really encourage the teams, like, you find how to find each other's strengths and leverage them so that you can get your goals done, right? And through that, you get the most innovative and creative, right? And so when you're rallying around a goal, and I'm going to get to your answer, I promise. But when you're rallying around something, or when you're seeking answer, or you're seeking creation, and you're using the leverage of strengths around you, then you find opportunity. And so I had been, thinking about this and just churning on all these passions that I have, and real passion behind the depth of what I was doing for so many years, because I'd been coaching for so long and so passionate about this that I'd been dreaming of running my own consulting for years. But really it was the coaching aspect, because I love human connection, and I loved seeing the shift of people and the growth of their careers and the growth of their mindset. And so, kind of combined with that, I thought, well, really, when it's all said and done, what am I helping people do? And it was always around that intentionality of, hey, I want you to have something that you're intentional about. I was a project manager, so people hear that word and they always think, okay, you're just going to kind of task master through something. And I'm like, no, it's not about that. It's about somebody owning something and wanting it and getting there. So it's about vision. It could be anything. And so, I was really at the executive level. I was a vice president. And so I thought, it's really about wanting something and getting as creative as you can to execute whatever you need to get there, right? So that's how I came up with execute your intentions, because every word was very intentional in the name of my business. And then I just thought, I don't really even know what my possibilities are, but I do know that I have a lot of things that I care about. I care about people. And so I got curious about people. And so I just took some time to start, looking at, things that either had hurt me in the past or things that I was curious about. I called it leading with curiosity. And I just started kind of digging around, looking at TEDx's or reading articles or looking up statistics or wherever my heart and mind took me. And I started connecting dots between things. And so now I'm writing a book. And then I thought my business is going to just kind of start taking its shape. And lead me. I love group coaching. I knew that had to be part of it. So now I'm group coaching and I knew that, helping people move forward towards something intentional, because I help people break down their problems, and I have a background in something. And so, it's all kind of combining and helping people build what they need to. And so all of that combined really is what, ultimately, I think this is where when you get into true entrepreneurship, you're able to understand how to build a business that really is unique and fits you. And that's what led me there, was leading through curiosity and genuine kind of authentically exploration.
Wow, that's amazing. So if I understand correctly, so execute your intentions. You provided group coaching, and do you also provide one-on-one?
Well, it's primarily focused on group coaching, because I think that from my experience, of course, like there's benefit in one-on-one. Relationship building is so important. And I think that some people need that, especially to initially like feel safe. And sometimes there's, situations. But I think that we are better together because there's so much to benefit from that diversity.
Mm-hmm.
There's so much to benefit from hearing different perspectives. I'd love to think that I know all the answers, but I don't. I only am limited to my world and my experiences, and you have yours. And I know that if you and I were sitting in a room and we had a friend that walked in and had some problem that they wanted to solve, I would give them some advice and you would give them some valuable advice.
Yes.
Right? I don't think that I'm going to give the best advice in every situation. And who am I to say that I would? And so I just think that there's so much value. And I know that I have experience in facilitating certain conversations. And so being able to facilitate the right conversations for the right scenarios and recognizing that my experience in certain ways is the right experience for certain situations, and being able to help people move forward in that way is my skill set. But I think that the diversity and the ability to pull people together is really is very critical to the innovation and the creativity and the true problem solving for somebody to get the benefit. So I just love group coaching.
So when you do group coaching, do you do it also for companies, or is it a group coaching that can be individual from different places that just come together for a group coaching?
Yeah, so right now I'm exploring different models. This is the first year of my business. I'm exploring different models, and I encourage both, because I think that there's really a part of it is that I am figuring out that part of my business, but I think that everybody benefits. So I've seen it just works in any way, because no matter what, it is a group of people that are trying to solve problems. And you always benefit when you work together. And so regardless of if the problem is, hey, we are together trying to solve a common problem, or we're on the same journey. And so I, have journey-based cohorts also, that like there were a group of women that were wanting to leave corporate and transition towards entrepreneurship. Well, that's a common problem. And so they are necessarily in the same company, but they're facing the same challenges. And the way that I see it is that I take a common journey and say, well, there's decision points. And when I had that journey, there were lessons for me. And I can kind of give you the high level of, this is what it looks like. No. And along the way, I wish I had known to make this decision at this time, because it would have been more responsible for me to maybe spend my time in a different way. Or I wish I had known these factors. That was my lesson learned. So I like to give people the heads up of, this was my lesson learned. I wish I had made these decisions at these points. Maybe you want to consider this. Does anyone else have something to add? So we can all together think through a strategic plan, and then also line up some tools and say, you get to choose your own journey. Everybody should be empowered to choose their own journey. And then, okay, if you decide to go in this direction, here's some tools. So it's about being resourceful as a group. And if you decide, oh, this other path is better for you, okay, here's some tools, or, and so it's truly about everybody's success in that kind of situation. But if it were a team of people, okay, it's more of you collectively, a community, or even a business, or it can apply to anything. A family is a unit. Yes. They might have I had a friend that was describing a situation with her contractor on a project, and she was telling me about it, and I said, I don't think that you and your contractor had really decided a common goal. And so in any situation, if you start thinking about your relationships and you go, do we have a common goal? And there's so many relationships that we don't necessarily look at the goal. And if we really are agreed upon on that commonality of the goal of that. So yeah, just kind of helping people break that down.
Mm-hmm. So in your group coaching programs, what are some key strategies you employ to foster innovative and inclusive environment?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I think like one of the most important things is that you're aligned on how you're going to interact. So, if we're talking about something where, and I'll go to a group that has a common goal, and their goal is to accomplish something together. How they have agreed to interact with each other towards their common goal is so critical. And so things like, and so to use business language, oftentimes they're referred to as things like team norms. And I think one of the biggest key factors on that isn't talked about very often and makes people uncomfortable, and maybe that's why we don't talk about it very often, is mutual accountability and being comfortable with holding one another accountable and not placing that on just a leader. And that's how we create coaching cultures. I'm a huge fan of coaching cultures, meaning that because I think that that's how society ultimately is going to start getting better, is if we start holding one another more accountable, right? Where it's not looking to one person to speak up for everybody else. Because when we do that, that places so much responsibility on one person to be like the person that calls everybody out. It doesn't, a lot of people would say to me, in my past life, they'd say, oh, thank goodness you're going to show up to this meeting because I have a real problem and I want you to speak up for me. And there were so many times where I was like, I'm exhausted from fighting everybody's battles. I would really love some support here. And, if you have an issue, like I need you to be able to speak up too. I'll back you up, and it gets to be really exhausting for people to always be the voice of reason in a room by themselves. And so if we don't learn to be comfortable in that and get through that discomfort, then as a collective, it's going to be really difficult. And so things like that, like how are we going to really hold one another accountable? And so I think just working through those, the more you do it, the more we get comfortable with it, and the less personal people take things like that, the more you realize like, oh, we're just holding each other accountable so that we can move forward. And then it just becomes like kind of secondhand nature. Like, oh I asked you to do this. You said you were going to, and it's reasonable for me to expect you to do it. It is no big deal that I asked you, did you do it? It's not an affront, so things like that.
So how do you define success and fulfillment, both personally and the context of your coaching programs?
Oh gosh. So for me, success and fulfillment, I wake up happy when I have human connection. That is, it's different for everybody. I think it's when your needs are met. So for me, success and fulfillment, I of course want to live in a comfortable life. And, finances are one of those things that I want to be able to do the things that I enjoy at ease and not have financial stress. And I want to know that myself, my family, the people that I love and care about are not going to have stress about, our future if we're sick or anything like that, and that we can take vacations and that we can relax, and that kind of thing. But I don't feel like I need, to have this super luxurious life.
Sure.
But I think that having love and human connection and feeling that genuine support, and I think oftentimes we tap into needs that we haven't always had met. And I know that was a need that hadn't been fulfilled often. So I think having more and more support, which I've been working on over the past year and I've been gaining, has been really meaningful to me. So I think that's a big one. And so that's on the personal side of it. And that fulfills me. I love giving support too. Like when I know that I have made someone's day, that feels great. And, it really does. And so, like that, I don't know. To me, that's a good life. Like I don't,
it is.
I just don't really know. I don't know why else, what else we'd be spending our time on, I don't know. Like, I guess why else? So yeah, that's kind of for me. And then for my business, I guess I don't really separate the two, because I was saying, my passion and my purpose are so well aligned that if I can make a difference and make people feel that they are able to get traction on things that they care about, that they feel more included. Honestly, if I'm able to get more people comfortable with really being themselves, demanding more for themselves, gaining traction in the world, but in a healthy, positive way that builds their relationships and fosters empowerment in the true, genuine sense, and that they encourage others to do the same, which I think would start building some systemic changes. As lofty as a goal that is, that would be my dream come true.
Trump. It's like every time you talk, I don't know if you realize that, you always include others.
Yeah.
It's like it's never really focused just on you. It's with others. It's something that I can tell you're very passionate about. But how can people connect with you, and how does it look like working with you anyway?
Well, you can connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm very active on LinkedIn. So that's probably the easiest way, because I think I'm a LinkedIn addict.
Is that a thing?
Yeah, I think so. There's just beautiful audio rooms. I'm actually hosting one, co-hosting one this Sunday. And so there's really wonderful communities. I am amazed at the communities that are out there on LinkedIn. I have a website that is right now a little bit under progress. I'm going to fix it up hopefully before this is released, but I'm working on it. So it's executeyourintentions.com. And then yeah, basically that and my LinkedIn are probably the best ways. And then, of course, my email, which is kinga@executeyourintentions.com.
And if someone want to work with you, how does that process actually work?
Oh, just send me an email and we'll talk about what programs I have in flight. And I'm happy to have any conversation around that. So I think that's probably
it's very straightforward, pretty much.
Yeah.
So what advice would you?
I want to connect with you. I want to connect with people. Yeah.
Let's just connect. Let's just talk. We don't know what we're gonna talk about, but that's okay. We just talk.
Yeah. I think I think authentic connection is just so important.
Yes, it is. So what advice would you give to someone looking to start their own business or adopt a more entrepreneurial approach in their career?
Well, a couple things. One is, be sure that you have a good support system, and not that you can't jump in if you don't, but make sure that you are ready to create that. Make sure that you feel like you have the strength to do that. And that if you don't, reach out to me, because I can give you some really quick tools and tips to get you going. And that you also kind of understand some of the basic skills to have an entrepreneurial mindset. I do believe that my program management background helped me with that. It gave me the understanding that we need to be adaptable at any moment. It gave me this planning skills that I needed. And it gave me the ability to kind of break things down into smaller chunks and just kind of tackle something that felt really, really lofty and be able to just take it one step at a time. And so those things I think are super important when you're taking something on that is just brand new and feels like it is a little bit overwhelming. So, take care of yourself and take care of others.
And if you need help, you know who to reach out to.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, thank you so much for giving me the chance to talk to you, to get to know a little bit about your background, but also how you're passionate about other people, connecting with others and creating connections. And I think that COVID is something COVID should have taught us a lot. It's like being at home by ourselves, how lonely that can actually be.
Yeah.
We still cannot run away from each other. We still need each other. We still need that connection. I think we were born like that. We were made to be like that, actually, to be connected, especially as women. We like to be connected with others and give other support. And I think for me, being a woman, that's one thing that I realized on me. I like to support others. Yes, I made a mission to support women because I feel like we need it more, but I love to support people in general. It's a human connection, and we can't escape it. We just need it.
Yep. You're amazing at it. You're amazing.
I think you are amazing at it. What are you talking about?
Well, as soon as we got on the phone, I was like, I just adore you. So thank you so much for this opportunity.
Thank you for listening to Female Founders Podcast. That's it for this week's episode. Be sure to follow us on your favorite podcast app or connect with us on womel.com so that you don't miss our next episode. See you next time. Bye for now.